welcome to whatever this is. Let's get started straight away. First, quick recap of the week. It turned out to be a rough week for unrepentant racists and recording devices.
The owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, Donald Sterling, was caught on audio taped telling his girlfriend not to pose for pictures with black people and not to then bring them to basketball games.
Sterling was upset after she posted an Instagram photo of her with Magic Johnson.
Wow, that is genuinely shocking. An 80-year-old man knows about Instagram. But look, I'm sure he'll win his way back into everyone's good graces. Who can stay mad at that racist face? He's like a walking before photo. And impressively, this horrific human actually managed to somehow one-up the previous most racist person of the week, Cliven Bundy, who finished his week-long seminar on the benefits of slavery by provoking the single greatest introduction to an interview in the history of the English language.
Mr. Bundy, I see in your arms that you are holding a dead calf.
Oh. This whole thing? I hadn't even noticed that I was carrying it. And just this morning, Catholics ended the week with a huge celebration.
Just a short time ago, Pope Francis presided over a double papal canonization ceremony that elevated Popes John Paul II and John the 23rd into sainthood.
Two at once. That's the papal sainthood equivalent of a KFC double down. This morning was actually historic for a number of reasons.
It's an event that may well never happen again. In effect, 4 popes in the same place at the same time. Pope Francis will declare that 2 of his predecessors are here in spirit as saints, while the man he succeeded, Benedict XVI, looks on.
And you know who I actually feel bad for there? Pope Benedict. Because it cannot be easy to be the 4th most popular pope in a room. Especially when 2 of the other popes are dead. And finally, there was big Obamacare news this week. On the positive side, sign-ups have surpassed 8 million people, but unfortunately on Thursday it turned out that one state in particular is lagging behind.
Oregon has officially shut down its online health care exchange after weeks of trying to fix its bulky, glitchy system. Oregon residents will now use the federal healthcare.gov site to sign up for medical insurance.
All told, taxpayers have coughed up a whopping $248 million for a website that still doesn't work.
Wait. Okay, so let's break all of that down. Oregon spent $250 million, and its website, designed to sign people up in one sitting, did that for exactly nobody. And they're now handing the keys over to healthcare.gov. That has got to be a bitter pill to swallow for the people of Oregon, or it would be if they could get the pill, which they can't because their shitty website is broken. Now, to be fair to Oregon, not all of that money was spent on the website itself. $3 million of it was spent on violently adorable adverts like this.
Long live our Oregon spirit. Long live the Oregon way. To care for each one, every daughter and son. Live long in Oregon.
Look, we get it, Oregon. You people live in a cartoon. Your mountains are breathtaking, your coffee is fair trade, and everywhere you go, you hear the sound of fucking ukuleles. You've made your point, but here's the thing. This is all very charming until you waste tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money on a website that doesn't work. Luckily, we here have prepared something to convey that message to you in a way that I think you'll be able to understand.
Like artist in Portland, your site doesn't work. That 404 error is not just a quirk. You blew all our money on these stupid sets. So when you break your leg, try the neighborhood vet. You stupid Oregon idiots. You human Pinterest boards. Your passion for cuteness might kill your whole state. So long, Oregon.
That's right. We threw in Lisa Loeb to tell you to go fuck yourselves, Oregon. But look, let's move on and let's talk about election news. And before you say it, no, I do not mean this.
How is the 2016 field shaping up?
The prospects of Hillary Clinton, Vice President Joe Biden, Chris Christie leading the way.
Maybe it can actually be Jeb Bush.
Rand Paul is one of the leading frontrunners.
Ted Cruz, you even saw Donald Trump.
Could he be testing the presidential waters again?
I've got an even more important question. Who gives a shit? Because here is the frustrating thing. Cable news does not need to be focusing on an election that is happening in 926 days, when there's an important one happening right now that they are all completely ignoring.
The world's biggest election is underway in India.
It's the biggest election on the planet.
814 million voters eligible to vote.
Yeah, the biggest election in human history is taking place in India right now. Nearly 1/5 of the world's working-age population lives there. It has a direct economic impact on America, and yet this is the most substantive conversation about it that we could find.
Well, we're going to get questions from some writers to the program saying, what are you talking about India for? What does that have to do with the United States?
850 million voters.
Right. Why should that concern us? They're not even in our hemisphere.
They're not even in our hemisphere, and if they're not, they basically don't exist. See? Look, they're not even on my globe. They're not on my globe. Show me where they are. You can't, can you, boy? But look. At least the guy from Six Flags is actually talking about this story. Because the Indian election is not even that complicated. Just like in American elections, all it really comes down to is two people.
There are two key people fighting this out, Rahul Gandhi from the Congress Party and Narendra Modi from the BJP.
OK, great. So let's deal with Gandhi first. And I'll realise that it is not the first time that sentence has been said in a British accent. But put that aside. There's no time. Rahul Gandhi, however, is, wow, that guy is handsome. Look at that vest. He's like an Indian Han Solo. This guy is the total political package. He's got good looks. He's from a family with 3 former prime ministers. He's got that vest. With those 3 credentials, you'd think he'd have this thing completely locked up by now. But in the kind of twist worthy of at least a modicum of cable news coverage, he's actually widely expected to lose the election to this guy.
Narendra Modi is a leader of India's Hindu Nationalist Party.
There's a growing wave of support behind Narendra Modi, a hard-man politician who's worked his way up from the bottom. As a boy, he sold tea on a railway station.
Modi sold tea in a railway station, and now he's the most popular man in the country. Don't pretend you're not interested in this, America. The last time you heard a rags to riches story about a tea-selling Indian kid, you threw a fucking Oscar at it. and you loved that more than the Curious Case of Benjamin Button. And come on! He starts as an old man and he ends as a dead baby. It's a heartwarming tale. Watch it again. That's not the point. The point is, Modi has managed to inspire people with his populist platform, including a pledge to put toilets in every home. And wow, that's a bold move, coming out as pro-toilet. Finally, someone's taking on the powerful, hastily dug ditch in a field lobby. Now, this is both funny and also incredibly important as a public health issue. But if that wasn't enough, in a move that I cannot believe no American politician has tried, Modi has been making campaign appearances via hologram. That's right, Modi has gone Tupac at Coachella. And that is how you convince undecided voters. Who are you going to vote for? Modi. Why? Because he appeared to me as a hologram and told me he'd give me a toilet. That's not just how you get elected, that's how religions get started. And I can feel the news saying, well, look, that's all well and good, but where's the scandal here? Where's the je ne sais genocide? Well, don't worry, because Modi has got you covered.
Many believe that he played a role in the riots between Hindus and Muslims, which killed thousands back in 2002.
An explosion of communal violence in his home state on Mr. Modi's watch still casts a shadow. At least 1,000 people died, most of them Muslim.
Is that enough of a scandal for you? Because bear in mind how much time we spent in this country covering a story about a bridge-based traffic jam in which the worst that happened to any Muslims involved was that they were slightly delayed. We should care about this story. If polls are to be believed, we may be throwing state dinners for this guy in the near future. And it's not just that he arguably failed to stop a massacre. It's that if he's sorry at all, it's for an unexpected reason.
I asked him if he had any regrets about what had happened in his state in that period. He told me his greatest regret was that he didn't manage the media very well.
Sure, I could have handled the media better. I could have somehow spun the massacre as a positive, and in hindsight, I will say it may not have been the best time to do Between Two Ferns, but I'm a fan of Zach. I'm a fan of Zach, and I thought that's what people did now. If this story isn't worth covering, then nothing is worth covering. And I don't mean to suggest that the American news media have completely ignored India this week. It's just that this is the story that they went with.
Panic in the streets of India, a frightened leopard bursting from the roof of a house.
A wild scene in India when this leopard got loose. A leopard springs through a roof of a home in India.
Not where you'd imagine a leopard popping out of the rooftop like that. It's crazy.
It's not crazy, though. Leopards are indigenous to India. If it was a leopard in Times Square on New Year's Eve, yes, that would be crazy. That would be insane. You get him, leopard, you get him. And it's also worth noting here that even as our cable news has been ignoring India, India has not been ignoring our cable news.
You see a lot of what may be described as foxification of television news. So the model seems to be Fox News in the United States, which is famous internationally for shouting matches.
Congratulations, Fox. You're famous internationally for shouting. By the way, they don't even get Fox in India. They just hear them from across the ocean. But that's... No. The point is, slow down, India. Let's take a progress report. How exactly close to American media have you come? Do you have a ludicrous number of people shouting at each other?
Mr. Kadir wants to say something here. 1 second, Mr. Kadir, let's go back to the debate.
Can I talk? Yes, I want to talk.
Okay, that's one. But do you have elaborate, senseless election graphics? Incidentally, that is from CNN India, and a little fact check. India has just over 800 million voters, so their own graphic is wrong by the entire population of Brazil. You truly are a member of the CNN family. But let's get back to it. Do you have self-righteous anchors repeating themselves over and over again?
And how dare you bring RSS all the time?
How dare you say I take money, simply? How dare you say I take money? How dare you say I take money?
You provoke.
How dare you say I take money? 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 How dare you say I take money?
How dare you say
You say this to me, how can you say I take money?
Speaking to people.
How dare you say I take money, Miss Lakey?
Holy shit, they've stolen our formula! But you've forgotten one crucial detail here, India. Because if you really want to Americanize your media, there's one last thing you have to do, and that is stop covering the Indian election. And now this.
And now, John McCain tells the same joke 6 different times in 6 different places.
Listen, Russia is a gas station masquerading as a country. Russia is a gas station masquerading as a country. It's a gas station masquerading as a country.
Russia is now a gas station masquerading as a country.
Russia is a gas station masquerading as a country. You know, I've said I thought it was a pretty good line. Russia is a gas station masquerading as a country.
Good joke. Let's move on. If you looked at the Supreme Court docket this week, you may have seen an unusual case name, Pom Wonderful versus Coca-Cola. And if you're wondering why two beverages are fighting each other in the highest court in the land, it's because Pom Wonderful believes that one of Coke's products is misleading the public.
It says pomegranate blueberry in big letters on the label, but this juice is actually 99% apple and grape. To see how much pomegranate juice is actually in this Minute Maid, you need something as small as an eyedropper. That's it.
Seriously? Because if that's the standard, you should really call it Minute Maid pomegranate and rat urine blend, because, let's face it, there's a little rat urine in everything. Now, you might think that Pom Wonderful is the hero here, standing up for truth in pomegranatery, but be careful, because in Coke's defence, they only misled us about what was in their juice. For years, Pom Wonderful has misled us about what's in pomegranates.
The ads make pomegranate juice sound almost miraculous.
Pom Wonderful pomegranate juice claims to have healing superpowers, helping you to cheat death.
If you know a man that you care about, or you are a man, make him drink 8 ounces of pomegranate juice a day, because what it does for prostate cancer is amazing.
Or really, just give him a pomegranate enema instead. Just shove a bottle of pomegranate juice up his arse and squeeze it. You'll be amazed at the results. The US government will let you say just about anything about your products, but promising immortality was too much even for them.
The Federal Trade Commission says the company's health claims are, quote, false and unsubstantiated and based on dubious research.
Which means what this case is actually about is Pom Wonderful saying, hey, we didn't spend years misleading people about the health benefits of our snake oil for you to come in and lie about how much snake oil you have in your product. And one of Coke's actual arguments this week in the Supreme Court is that they're allowed to give their product a name that refers to juices that provide the characterising flavour. An argument that has the characterising flavour of bullshit. But incredibly, Coke may actually have legal precedent on its side. You see, back in 1984, Kellogg's, the folks that make candy that you can mix with milk, decided that despite explicit recommendations not to, they put a label on boxes of All Bran implying that it could ward off cancer, saying that their right to do this is protected under the First Amendment. Which made other companies say, wait, we can say what we want? OK, let's do exactly that then. Which is why Hellmann's once felt that they could put a Smart Choice label on their mayonnaise, and Cocoa Krispies boasted that they can increase your child's immunity, which is true, but only in the sense that it immunises them from not having diabetes. And it's extremely rare for companies to be called to account for any of this. For instance, a few years ago, Kellogg's was forced to stop airing this ad.
A clinical study showed kids who had a filling breakfast of Frosted Mini Wheat cereal improved their attentiveness by nearly 20%.
OK, 2 fun facts there. First, when they say nearly 20%, it's because they're rounding up from 11. And secondly, they were comparing kids who'd eaten cereal with a control group of kids who'd had no breakfast at all. And that is not so much a case for mini wheats as it is the concept of food. A much fairer slogan would be Frosted Mini Wheats. They're literally better than nothing. Clearly, we are now at a point where food companies feel no obligation to accurately represent what is in their products and what they do for you. A fact best encapsulated by this one single commercial.
When you give your kids frosted strawberry Pop-Tarts baked with real fruit, they'll rise and you'll shine.
Fuck you. And I'll tell you why. Because there is no significant amount of fruit in Pop-Tarts, and within 30 seconds of eating one, your children will not rise and shine. They'll run around punching people in the dick before collapsing into a puddle of tears. Look, if there's an upside to applying the First Amendment to food labelling, it's that if companies can do this, then so can you. You could, for instance, put stickers on a bottle of Pom Wonderful claiming that it contains 4 whole Pomeranians. or banners saying that frosted mini-wheats are arguably preferable to hunger. In fact, you would be constitutionally empowered to go online to this address, print a selection of labels out, and stick them to existing food packaging. Now, the worst thing you could do, no, the worst thing you could do is go into a store and put these products on the shelves, because that would be breaking the law in the funniest way imaginable. And if you were to do it, which you absolutely should not, do not take a photograph and send it to our show's official Twitter account, because that is something that I would not be interested in seeing. And this is key, don't blame me if you get into trouble over this, because even though I might be 99.7% responsible, my 0.3% innocence is my characterising flavour. And now this.
And now, last week tonight's Workplace of the Week. This week, the National Football League. The NFL has long been renowned for its concern with the welfare of all its employees. But this week, one group of contractors had some constructive criticism.
New allegations this morning of mistreatment by a group of Buffalo Bills cheerleaders.
The Oakland Raiders and Cincinnati Bengals are also dealing with wage disputes,
some of whom claim they were paid less than $5 an hour.
Apparently, $5 an hour is just a market rate for sideline entertainers, with one exception.
The mascot, that is the person who dresses up in the uniform of an animal, usually gets paid about $25,000 a year.
Plus, unlike cheerleaders, mascots get benefits. Enjoy your doctor's visits, anthropomorphic dolphin humanoid. But while the NFL may not pay cheerleaders much in money, the advice in their handbook is free, and there's plenty of it. From how much to talk, to how much to eat, to which feminine hygiene products to use. Oh, and of course this.
And had to submit to a, quote, jiggle test so their boss could critique their bodies.
A jiggle test, because the sight of quivering excess fat has no place in the NFL. And in return for all these workplace indignities, the NFL asks cheerleaders to do a job where they're barely heard, barely seen, and have had the only responsibility in their job title, that of leading cheers, usurped by jumbotrons. Their only remaining responsibility, serving as human speed bumps for gargantuan tight ends. And that is why the NFL is this week's Workplace of the Week.
For our final segment tonight, we'd like to look at the NSA. They've had a turbulent past 10 months, but as Director of National Intelligence James Clapper said back in January, the intelligence community is determined to learn their lessons.
The major takeaway for us, certainly for me, from the past several months is that we must lean in the direction of transparency, wherever and whenever we can.
We're going to be transparent. I'll start. I don't like bananas. Now you tell me everything you've ever done in your life. Except, as we learned earlier this week, after leaning in the direction of transparency, Clapper didn't so much lean away as run furiously in the opposite direction.
Under new rules by the administration and the nation's intel chief, James Clapper, intelligence employees are banned from speaking to journalists about any intelligence-related matter.
Well, that'll restore the American people's trust. As we all know, the first step in rebuilding any relationship is cutting off any and all communication. Lucky for us, the ex-head of the NSA, General Keith Alexander, retired in March, which means that those rules no longer apply to him, leaving him free and generous enough to speak with us. Take a look. General Keith Alexander is a decorated military veteran who ran the NSA for the last 8.5 years. During that time, he faced questioning from the highest-ranking officials in the land. But now, he would face the opposite of that. So first, General, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Do you think that the NSA is suffering from a perception problem with the American people at the moment, bearing in mind that the answer to that is yes?
Absolutely. You know, the first assumption is that you're collecting on the American people. And therein lies the problem, because the reality is the target is not the American people.
No, the target is not the American people, but it seems that too often you miss the target and you hit the American person standing next to it going, whoa, whoa, him!
But you see, we're not just out there gathering U.S. communications, listening to their phone calls or collecting their emails. But that's the first thing that people jump to.
But you are out there doing that. You're just saying you're not then reading them. You are gathering that data.
No. So in terms of going after U.S. infrastructure or sitting here in the United States, talking to A and B, talking in the United States, we aren't collecting that. We don't collect that. We do collect the metadata, a to-from number, date, time, group, and duration of a call. That's all that's in there.
But that's not nothing.
No, that's not nothing.
Significant information. Otherwise, you wouldn't want it. Is this the argument then that to get the needle, you need the haystack?
Well, that's part of the argument.
Right, but people's concerns, I think, are that you're not just taking the haystack, you're taking the whole farm and the county and the state, and you've now got some photos of the farmer's wife in the shower as well.
So NSA is not allowed to go do that on its own. It has oversight. And so what the courts, Congress, and the administration do is say, if you're going to do this, it has to comport with the Constitution.
The NSA has an unblemished record of comporting with the Constitution and keeping tight control over its information, with the exception of the thousands of times that, according to the NSA's own audits, they accidentally accessed Americans' information. And then, of course, there was this.
The NSA admits some employees have spied on their girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, and wives.
All of which prompted a simple question. Why should the American people trust the NSA?
Well, from my perspective, because of what they do to protect this country every day. These are good people trying to do the right thing.
Right, but much of your reassurance there is based on your own moral code. The idea of you thinking, well, I wouldn't abuse this power, so why would anyone else? I would. If I had access to that kind of information, I would abuse the hell out of it. I'd be looking up information about everyone that I knew. I know that.
Everybody who goes through the training, they'd say, John, here's the deal. You're going to get access to this data. But you can't use it for these things, you can't use it for this, and you can't use it for this.
Sure, I definitely won't do that. Where's my computer?
Right, and so as soon as you get on the computer, what happens, you type in...
What's her name? God, she screwed me over so bad.
Boom,
Where's her
and
boy?
you hit return?
There.
And
you bitch! Oh my God! Oh my God!
If you were caught doing that, then you would either be removed...
Or promoted.
No, referred to the Department of Justice, as we did on several of those cases.
Right. Okay, so finally, let's talk about branding. The NSA's brand has been damaged. I think that's fair to say, right?
Right.
As we learned with Blackwater, you don't have to change the substance of anything that you do as long as you visibly rebrand.
Okay.
So let's try this. The Washington Redskins. It's a slightly less tainted brand than yours.
Yeah, but probably not a good one to go with.
Sorry, okay, no good. How about this?
Mr. Tiggles.
Mr. Tiggles is not just the mascot, it's also the name of the agency, like Chuck E. Cheese. Then a journalist can't say the NSA is storing huge amounts of data on foreign countries. Instead, it's saying, Mr. Tiggles is storing huge amounts of data
in the boot.
Isn't he clever? It's in his boot. Oh, you've massively overstepped your bounds, Mr. Tiggles, but I can't stay mad at you. You just want to keep me safe.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to work.
Okay, how about rebranding yourself as a great listener?
The only agency in government that really listens.
That's what I'm saying. Because in many ways, the NSA is the perfect partner. So, let me introduce you to the new NSA, Trevor.
I think this is good.
Tell us about your day, everything about it. How's Mohammed at work? How is he? What's he been doing?
Trevor.
So, if you had to choose one of these, which would it be?
Well, I think that's something that perhaps you could have people vote on.
So there you have it. At long last, Americans are being allowed to vote on something having to do with the NSA. Just pick up your phone and call any number and say A, B, or C into the handset. Don't worry, your vote will be collected. If you want to watch an extended version of that interview online, go here. My thanks tonight to General Alexander. Also, great thanks to Lisa Loeb. Thank you for watching. Join us again next week. Good night.